So speaking of cheaters, we talked about cheating a little bit earlier with, players using cheats to exploit games. The latest PS5 update blocks Cronus devices from working. So if you search for Cronus Zen on Google, you'll see that the title returned in the search field boasts Cronus Zen now with full PS5 support. Well, thanks to the latest PlayStation 5 update rolled out by Sony, that's no longer the case. When you navigate to the Cronus website, you're met with a message informing you that as of January the 24th, Cronus Zen devices no longer work on PlayStation 5 consoles. Sorry, cheaters. In case you've never heard of Cronus Zen, I'll enlighten you. It's a small but powerful device that permits users to almost maliciously modify their controllers and use macros to alter things in-game like recoil and aim assist. They're commonly used by ill-intentioned Call of Duty players to gain an advantage in a game with already forgiving mechanics for controller players-based gamers. As per Cronus message following the recent PlayStation 5 update, these devices are no longer functioning on Sony's current powerhouse of a console. We're aware of an issue with Zen and the PS5. As of this morning, the console is prompting everyone to update, and if you do, Zen will no longer connect to the PS5 without disconnecting. Cronus recommends that players don't download this update, offering players a workaround that'll keep their little device working just fine. The firm also stressed that it hasn't got a clue when the functionality will be switched back on, stating that it could be 24 hours, 24 days, 24 months until the Cronus Zen devices work on PlayStation 5 consoles again. So, if that PS5 player with a suspiciously good aim or remarkable in-game abilities suddenly bombs out in every match and can't hit a shot, you know what's happened. Unfortunately, there will be legitimate users impacted by this too. There's another use for Cronus Zen, and that's for disabled or less physically capable players to remap or modify their inputs to better enjoy a game that would otherwise be out of their reach, but that's not what Cronus Zens are best known for these days, sadly. So, I'm going to start here with Corey. Zen got patched. What do you think?
Big W for Sony, dude. Like, we've seen too many suspicious motherfuckers that we know there's no way they're hitting those shots that I don't think we'll be playing anymore, at least under those names.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's so good they finally did it, and it sucks. I didn't know that it could be used for disabled players to better map their controllers, and it sucks that something that could be used for that good could also be turned to cheating evil.
Yes, right.
Absolutely. It really sucks for those guys that they can't have a good experience anymore because of some bullshit that some shitty people.
Yes.
You're not only shitty at games, you're a shitty person.
Yeah. No.
And it sucks, man.
No, I agree 100% with that. And I'm going to go ahead and formulate this question real quick. And this is just going to be a general question. We'll start with Garbo first and we'll run through everybody. But like, whenever you play Fortnite, you can turn on the, like the hearing impaired mode, which almost everybody plays with on. Because it gives you a visual cue.
Every streamer does.
Yes. Gives you a visual cue on footsteps, gunfire, etc., etc. Now, everybody uses it, and there's no downfall to using it. So, for example, it doesn't mute your TV. It doesn't mute your audio output for the game. It just simply turns on this ability to be able to like see what is making noise around you. I know that a lot of people don't consider that cheating, but Garbo, do you think that for people that have hearing impairment, deaf people, having something that allows them to play the game and enjoy the game, should it mute the game for everybody else?
No. Because then you're putting the other 96 probably at a disadvantage because they never went through like knowing like the whole thing of like knowing the distance of imperative sign. Like even though people like the other 96 players are like using it, they're like there may not be as like functional. Maybe they just use it as the indicators. Like, look, there's enemies. Because sometimes that foot indicator is not very accurate, or at least it isn't accurate with me, or at least I don't know the distance or whatever. But like the 4 imperative can, you know. Also, I don't think it's cheap because Fortnite releases it for everyone to use, compared to Cronus, where Cronus like it has to be bought from.
Yeah. No,
I get Fortnite.
I get that, but it's one of those things where it's like we can kind of compare like the ability to use the Cronus for disabled people the same way that we use the, you know, ESP, you know, hearing impairment thing for Fortnite. There's no negatives to using the hearing impaired thing on Fortnite because it doesn't mute anything. If like, to me, at least from my perspective, if you're going to have something in there for disabled players, even for a Cronus or something like that, if you release something for disabled players, then it should be something that is a give and take. If you're disabled, you don't need insert whatever it is that you're trying to use this piece of technology for. So it should take it away for the people that don't need it. Therefore, it puts everybody level. Because if you're playing against someone that's deaf, not only can you hear what's going on around you, but you can also see what's going on around you. So not only are you seeing the footsteps, but you can also hear how far away those footsteps are away from you. Whereas a deaf person, they're only going to see those footsteps. They're not going to be able to hear how far away they are.
I would actually argue that as well as Fortnite has done with those indicators, because you can see the footsteps fade in and get like darker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can actually tell a distance. Say like when I was playing without the indicators on, half the time I couldn't tell what direction the sounds were coming from.
Right. Yeah.
So I would argue that someone who was deaf and using the indicators would have an advantage over me because I wouldn't be able to know where exactly those footsteps are coming from, as well they're getting a directional indicator.
Right.
And that's why I started playing with it on, because I wasn't able to tell where the fucking footsteps were coming from.
Yeah.
Same.
And like
But
I said,
we can also hear if it's
we
more than
also,
one person.
True.
Exactly. And that's what I was about to say. The fact that we can hear, we can see like where the direction of all that is, like we kind of have a better idea of like the stuff where they have to focus more on that radius where the sound, and so like they can pay attention and actually know like the distance of how far somebody away, you know, how far away it is compared to we wouldn't, you know. So
I think the only advantage that I would have is we would be able to tell more clearly if it's a person or an NPC.
Yeah.
Because you can hear the lines.
Yeah, you can hear them talking or making their is where they wouldn't be able to hear that.
Right.
But outside of that, I think it actually keeps us on a pretty even playing field. I don't think we have any advantage over someone who is hearing disabled and not able to hear.
Right.
They've done those indicators so well in that game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So here's an interesting thing, and I know that companies in the past have done this for disabled people, but I really wish that there was like one company that Sony, Microsoft, and everyone else entrusted enough to be able to develop things, controllers or whatever it may be, for disabled people so that they can still play. Like, look at Rocky No Hands. Like
they could just allow you to map your controller in the game.
And exactly.
I mean, I can map my keyboard.
Yeah.
Just have full different.
Why can't you map your controller?
Yes. Yeah.
And then those people don't get fucked, you know.
Right. That's
what I was thinking about was Rocky.
Yes.
That's something I've been concerned with in the past because, you know, my right hand doesn't work very well. Yeah. And it's going to lose functionality as I get older. And I still want to play video games.
Right.
So it's something I've considered looking into.
Not hard.
Well, you would think that you would, because tell me if I'm wrong here, because it's been a long time, but most console games, most PlayStation 5 games have a very, very, very similar controller layout from game to game. right? If you play a
Yeah.
shooter game, generally you're going to have very, very close inputs from shooter game to shooter game, right?
There might be a few different, like the bumpers and the triggers might be swapped or something, but other than that, it's pretty similar.
Right. So why doesn't Sony have a way for you to go in and fully map your controller out within the console itself? And then that way the developers don't have to, like, they can make a way to go in there and edit certain functionalities with the controller, but you can set it up the way that you want it within PlayStation, within the dashboard.
I think it's an email we should write.
Ain't that hard to do.
Yeah. But
It's the first thing I thought when you said the thing with the Cronus would disable people. I'm like, well, why don't they just let them map it?
yeah,
Because
exactly.
I love seeing the different controllers and stuff that they make for people that have like the like muscular dystrophy and stuff where their hands are folded back and they're still able to play games and things like that. I love seeing that type of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So it would be great if PlayStation found a way to just support it all.
Yeah. And not only that, but I love seeing the technology progress to the point where, like, we're almost to that point where people can use their mind to play a game.
We are almost at that point. That's what's like, I think that's where we're heading in the next 20 years or so, is we're going to be able to put on like a fucking helmet and be in a world.
Yes. Yeah.
Like more than just virtual reality. Like it'll take over your senses.
Yeah. Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking Sword Art Online, but sure.
Yeah. So, back to the Cronus thing. Back to the Cronus thing and it like blocking out players. I know there's other devices out there for both console and for PC as well. PC doesn't get out of this scot-free by any stretch of the imagination. But it's good to see that someone, that PlayStation and also Sony or Microsoft's doing the same. They're making strides to try to get rid of this issue here. Hats off to them for doing it. But like, how long do you think it's going to take for them to figure out a workaround for this?
I mean, they probably already have one that they're tested that's working for them, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it won't take long.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's going to be a back and forth battle.
they're making too much money.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bummer, man, because dude, back in the day, the closest thing that you could get to cheating was screen cheating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, it sucks that we've gone to this extreme now where it's like the article said, the games are very generous with how they assist players that play on different input methods. Yet some people don't think that that's enough. And they have to go one step further to going to your local big box store, Walmart, and buying a piece of hardware that allows you to have the God aim, you know, instead of just getting better at the game.
And oh man, I've heard even some people be like, I've played a lot and I've never gotten better. And maybe this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but you know how like basketball's not for everyone, football's not for everyone, video games aren't for everyone. At least competitive ones aren't.
Yeah.
Like you can find a good RPG or a good puzzle game or something. Maybe Call of Duty's not for you, bro.
Yeah. Well,
And
dude,
if you have to cheat, have a fun experience on that game, you're ruining it for everyone else. There's no
Yes.
point in it, man. Go play something else or play single player.
yeah. And that's the thing, man. Like, I suck at racing games, and I know that I suck at racing games. I still enjoy playing them, but I'm not good at them.
Yeah.
But if there was a racing game that came out that I was like, this is the bee's knees, this is the be all end all of video games, this racing game, I would either A, work my ass off to get good, at least passable enough for my expectations of my performance, or B, get burnout on trying to get better and move on to something else.
Because they watch a streamer.
That does not help. That does not help.
I want to play like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, you got to play 8 hours a day, every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Because that's what he does. He's been doing it for years.
Yeah, like he works a job. He works an 8-hour
Can't just
day while
hop
playing
in
video
and pop
games.
off.
Yeah.
But they want to.
Just can't. You can't do that.
I don't
No.
think they should be allowed to sell that in Walmart.
No.
I don't think so either.
I mean,
I agree.
that sounds like some seedy shit you got to get on eBay.
Yeah. You have to order the modded controller
Yeah.
from Toucan Sam that has like 1-star review.
Well, you're cheating. It's like back in the day when you would hack your cable box.
Oh,
Cheating.
you put the good card in there?
Yeah.
Oh, you got
Get
all the
8,000
channels,
you know?
including the Playboy
Yeah, they're all
channel.
there, they're all
I
there.
mean, sheesh. This is a huge step forward for online gaming. But
Absolutely.
Sony has such a rough road ahead of them. They like them actually making the move to disable it, which they're going to be able to do it. Like we talked about before, there's got to be some type of hardware manager, and all you have to do is disable things that the PlayStation doesn't recognize. Now, I understand that like you don't want to create a monopoly by only selling things that like Sony provides you. But also, if you did create a monopoly where only Sony things would work, then it would police itself.
Roller.
Yeah. Well, yeah, which is a whole different. Yeah, it's a whole different conversation.
It's a whole different
Wait a minute now.
Yeah. Which I mean, really, if they're going to put some type of functionality in that, where you're going to be able to like adjust recoil curves with your controller and how you're, that's getting into that weird gray area, and it makes sense for them to target. Hey, we're going to target the cheating boxes because we've got a controller where you can basically go in.
Exactly why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And controller was announced wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And now they're going after the thing that you can buy that's way cheaper.
Yes. Yeah.
That does the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you could do it. You just got to spend $130.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
a W, but
yeah. It's a W.
A W?
Yeah. Well, it's a W for all of your average, like 9 to 5 gamers. And 9 to 5 gamers is like that work a full-time job that only get like 2, maybe an hour or 2 to play every day. That's like, I'm not spending $130 on a controller. Like,
I'm going to run into 1 cheater as opposed to 7 cheaters.
Yes, exactly.
And at least you know they're using license.
Yeah, right.
Sony got their nut.
Yeah. Somebody's taxes came in, so. But man, I would love to live in a world where
send me a link
where you don't have to deal with this. Like because dude, in the circles that we kind of run in, if you play mouse and keyboard, you're automatically targeted as a cheater. Whether you cheat or not, you're automatically targeted as a cheater because we use, and I quote, our whole arm to aim with, right? So
I'll move mine. I mean,
yeah. So, and
you move it from the shoulder.
Yeah.
I have to move the whole thing to move it.
But,
have a drink anywhere near you.
So like being part of a community to where it's like, oh, you play mouse and keyboard, you obviously cheat. And it's like, well, if we're going to talk about who has the advantage here, let's pull up some numbers and some statistics here. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to like get into that nitty gritty detail. At least now it's like, yeah. Well, it's like, well, now look at what like Sony's making moves. I'm like, the anti-cheats that exist only work on PC. They don't work on console. Easy anti-cheat is something that does not work on console. It only works on PC. The anti-cheat needs to be good and updated correctly. And hopefully in the future, when that AI anti-cheat gets fully fleshed out and realized, that will be the game changer. That will be the thing that stops everybody, regardless of what you're playing on. It'll stop the cheating completely. That's the only way. I hope we get there sooner rather than later.
I mean, they're acknowledging it at least.
Yeah, that's nice that it's on their
about it.
radar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And a few months back, Microsoft said that they were disabling the use of, assisting hardware or assisting devices and things like that. So both major companies, I mean, who's going to be cheating on Switch? Let's be honest. Who's going to be cheating on Switch? And if you do, Jesus Christ, So,
Why?
yeah, exactly. Right. So, but yeah, good for them for recognizing the problem and making moves to try to correct the problem.
Mm-hmm.